Welcome to a Stitch With Me video. It is Friday, March something, the 20-odd of March. I'm sure I'll put on the bottom of the screen. I'm sorry, it's I should know the date and I don't. I'll know it in a few minutes because this afternoon have there's a small ceremony at my eldest son's school that I need to attend. So when I look at my calendar then I will know the date, but I don't at 10 to 10 in the morning. Terrible. I hope you'll forgive the sun shining in. I know that it's making this section over here quite blown out, but I didn't want to put down the screen and let all that lovely natural light in to help me with my stitching. So I am going to be working on my Sweet as a Bee sampler this morning. And I know that one person had commented a few videos ago that they couldn't see what I was stitching. So I'm going to show you what I'm stitching at the beginning and then when I finish. But I prefer videos where we're kind of having a conversation so that you're not just looking over my shoulder at what I'm stitching. There's partially, that's my preference, is that we have more of a conversation feel to the video. The other thing is I don't really have a setup that's conducive to having you look over my shoulder to look at what I'm stitching. I guess if you're interested in seeing more of a video where the camera is over my shoulder so you can see the actual stitching that I'm working on, let me know. So just leave a comment saying yes, you'd prefer that. Otherwise, I will stick to these more conversational type of videos because that's my personal preference. And it's a gorgeous day, as you can see. It's and I haven't mentioned my name is Patty. I am coming to you from the extreme east coast of Canada, in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, on the island of Newfoundland, at almost the most easterly point in Canada. So I'm going to put a picture here showing the sunrise this morning, and that sunrise is coming from almost the most easterly point in North America, which is pretty cool. Gorgeous day here, gorgeous sunrise. It's one of those days that you're happy to be alive and you get so energized by the feeling of the sun on you. It is the second or third day of spring. The moon was out this morning in almost full form. And yeah, it's just a spectacular day. And I'm spending the morning doing, apart from this video, and I need to start going back to my chores. I've still got breakfast dishes. I'm terrible. I've been sitting here knitting. I've got breakfast dishes to clean up. I have a lot of laundry to do. I have a bunch of things to get done around the house, so I need to concentrate on that after this video. Before I start, I had shown you a few weeks ago a kit that I received, I purchased from 123 Stitch. And this is the kit here by Thea Govner. I think she's Dutch, so I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. So here's the kit. And as you can see, it's based on antique tiles, and this particular one is called Villages. Okay, so I had mentioned, I think in the last video, that I was going to show you two tiles that I had painted when at the Royal Delft factory in Delft, the Netherlands. And in case this is your first time here, my husband used to be, he's retired now, but he was in the Canadian Forces. And one of our postings was in Germany for 4 years. And at the base where we were located, we were quite close to the Belgian and to the Dutch border. So we spent a fair bit of time in the Netherlands when we were there, as well as all over Europe. So we're really lucky that way. But because I'm a painter, I'm a decorative painter, and I had spent, I was doing a lot of decorative art when I was there. And the first time I went to the Delft factory to do a painting class, and I don't know if they still offer them or not. I hope they do, because it's really fun. You go and you spend an hour or so painting on bisque, and then they fire them and send them to you, send you the tiles after they're fired. And it's a really neat experience to see how much effort and how much talent and how much practice goes into the pieces that they're painting. So the first one that I did, I was a member of the group out of Heidelberg, so at the American base in Heidelberg. I was a member of their decorative arts chapter of the Society of Decorative Painters from the United States. And so they had done a field trip and I met up with them and went to the field trip with them. And one of the things we did was go on this painting course at the Royal Delft factory. So excuse the dust. I did dust it, but it looks like the cat hair and dust has settled on it again. So this is my first piece. You can see it's fairly pale. I still like it, so it's of a traditional style a couple of traditional style boats from the Netherlands. And it's not faded, it's just that when I painted it, it was my first time painting on tile and I wasn't heavy enough with my paint on the bisque. So that was my first painting class. And then the second time, we had a very active painting club at the, we were set up at the Canadian Forces Base in Niederheide. And we used to go there, I think it was Tuesday evenings. I have no idea, it doesn't matter. Anyway, once a week we'd get together and paint, and it was a fairly large group. And because I'd already done this, this field trip, or this trip to the Delft factory, I set up a field trip for a bunch of Canadian ladies to go to the Delft factory to paint as well. So this is my second tile, and you can see that quite, oh, sorry, my washer is dinging. So you can hear the dinging in the background. I'll take care of that in a minute. So you see there's significant improvement in my ability to handle the ink or the paint on the bisque. And I'm really pleased with how this one turned out. So my intent is to finish the cross stitch, put them next to those tiles. Show you the cross stitch again. And there's also another cross stitch that is a floral one, because these are based on antique Delft painted tiles. There's a, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Can you see that one there? I'm also interested in doing that one because this one I have, it's the Villagers one, and that one has flowers, and it's a little bit more similar to the flower tile that I have. So just excuse me for a minute. I'm going to go take care of my load of washing. I'm back. I have about 11 million loads of laundry to get done today, and I don't even think I'm exaggerating. So I may have to take a break, which you're not going to notice. And I did look at the calendar, and it is the 22nd of March. Yay! I mentioned I was going to be working in my suite as a bee piece this morning. So I was about to say stitch along, because I am doing a stitch along. And there's a couple of people interested and are involved with that. If you look on Instagram, it's under hashtag SweetBeeSAL for stitch along. And it'd be great if you can post there and let me know your progress. The intent for the stitch along is not necessarily that you finish your piece, though I'm hoping to. It's more to build camaraderie and community and to have fun stitching together. So this is the entire piece. I've showed this many times before. This is from the World of Cross Stitching magazine, issue 269. And I'm going to be focusing this morning on this piece part right here. So I need to do the outline of the honey stick, this little curly line here, I think that's a fly. Almost finished the words and such here. And I actually need, I'm not gonna be able to do this morning, but I need to pick up, I picked up all the colors I thought for the DMC, but I missed this color down here for the back stitching, so I need to pick that up at Michael's. So that's what I'm working on this morning. That's what it'll look like when it's finished. And let me show you where the stage I'm at. So there's mine. So you can see that's a little, let's get some paper behind that. Faded there, that's a little bit better. So I've almost finished the letter, so it says Honey Sail. I've still got to do the back stitching here and the little curly fly, and then that little piece underneath here, which is going to have to wait until I head to Michael's probably sometime this weekend. So hopefully I'll get some stitching done this weekend and have lots to show you on Monday, but that's where I am at the moment. So I'm just going to sit and chat for a few minutes while I'm stitching. I hope not to do a whole bunch of editing on this video because I don't have, as I mentioned, a whole lot of time, but I am hoping to get a little bit more stitched this morning. So let's see. So I cannot believe, genuinely cannot believe that the first day of spring has come and gone. Now we have no snow. And it was 6 degrees Celsius here yesterday. Just a second. Hey. Angel's chewing on something. Angel is one of our cats, and if I haven't mentioned it before, she's part goat, and she will chew or try to eat anything. So if you're really going to watch her, I have to watch her with my thread and everything as well, because she will eat thread. She's that kind of cat. And I'm not interested in the... I'm not interested in the vet bills that comes with that. So I keep my thread put away so that she isn't hurt. Bella was up here earlier bugging me. As soon as I sit down there, she jumps up and just wants to be patted and patted and patted. And I was doing some knitting. I started off doing podcasts as a knitting podcaster, knitting, well, I guess knitting, crocheting, rug hooking, all different kinds of crafts. And I have kind of fallen by the wayside with those, oh, I have not, videos, which one of my friends kindly pointed out to me. So it's time for me to do a knitting video, but of course, in order to do a knitting video, I have to be honest, I haven't been doing a whole lot of knitting. So I need to, I started a new project which has me all excited, as new projects do. A new knitting project with some gorgeous yarn that I haven't used before. And so stay tuned for next week, because I will be having a little, oh, I still have a knot in this. I will be having a little knitting update, which will be nice. A regular knitting podcast. There we go. That worked. I find I'm always doing something creative, but sometimes it ebbs and flows in terms of what I'm doing specifically. Take rug hooking. I haven't hooked in ages, and I love to hook. There's absolutely nothing wrong. There's no reason for me not to be hooking, like I haven't gotten sick of it or anything. I've just been doing more cross stitching and now trying to fit a bit more knitting in as well. There's finite time, isn't there, to do the things that we like to do. And, you know, when you have a relatively young family, my boys are 11 and a half. I have to put the half in. 9 and a half, and 7. He doesn't get a half yet because his birthday's in October. Although he says he's 7 and a half. And maybe he is. I have to look at the calendar to figure that out. But anyway, it's a fairly young family still, I think. So, you know, trying to fit in all their activities and all the things they enjoy doing and all the things we enjoy doing. I try to keep our weekends free so that we can do things as a family. I'm quite selfish, actually, over our weekend time. I'm quite, well, I don't know if selfish is the right word. I'm quite possessive over our time in the weekends. I don't like it when they're all involved in scouts and cubs or beavers, depending on which child you're talking about. And they're in the age-appropriate scout group for them. Anyway, it's a little, I do find it a little bit hard when they have activities on the weekend with Cub Scouts or beavers, because I find that takes away from our family time. I don't like that. Okay, so that part, I've finished outlining the word sail in the honey sail block. And now, oops, there goes my Ort container. I need another needle minder. I picked up a bunch of pins when we were at Disney to make into needle minders, and I haven't done it yet. This is my very expensive, I'm being sarcastic, Ort jar. It is a, what is it? It's a giant Tic Tac. Not advertising Tic Tacs, but it's a Tic Tac container. And I find it works great as an Ort jar. I use, I have paper ones, paper Ort containers and such as well, but I find this one, because it has a cover on it, then all the Orts don't fall out. And I have a question for the cross stitch community. Where did the word Ort come from? Sounds like a German word, but I want to know who came up with the word Ort for all those little bits, because it's quite an unusual word. And I'm sure somebody in comments is going to tell me, and I thank you for that, because I really want to know where Ort came from. And for anybody who has no idea what I'm talking about, the little bits and pieces that are left over from your stitching are called orts, apparently, O-R-T. And I want to know why. Why are they called that? Yes, I lick my thread. I'm a licker. I know some people don't like that, but that's the way I roll. All right, so now let's outline this cute little honey stick. This is an Emma Congdon pattern from Stitch, who designs under Stitch Rovia on Etsy if you're looking for. So Stitch Rovia is, because I may or may not get a chance to edit this, is STITCHROVIA, Etsy. So she's on Etsy, Etsy.com. Anyway, this is my first time doing one of her patterns. I think I purchased a couple of her patterns before, but I haven't completed them or started them yet. But this is the first one that I've started, and I'm really enjoying it. And I follow her on Instagram, and I read one of her posts was about how she doesn't like backstitching, but it brings so much to a piece once you have started backstitching. And I agree so much, because I'm not, backstitching is not my favorite thing to do either. You can't even see me. I am stitching. Here, let's put this down a little bit so you can see that I'm, oops, now are you getting dizzy? So you can actually see me stitching. There you go. So backstitching is not my favorite thing in the world either, but it does really bring a piece alive. So I do like that about it. Really gives it that definition, especially if you're doing faces or anything with any great detail. So I stitch in hand, if you can't tell. And when did I do it? Sometime in the fall, maybe. I taught with the use of floss tube, with the help of floss tube, and some videos by Kitten Stitcher, Teresa, and Stitching Mommy, I think, was the other one, had done a stitching in hand video. Anyway, with their help, I started stitching in hand, but using the sewing method, actually, is what I'm trying to say. So stitching using the sewing method, which I do now. And it has sped me up, I must say. I have a combination of not a lot of time, and I'm not a very fast stitcher. So when I'm, making a pattern for a kit or designing a pattern and then have to stitch the model for the photography and to make sure everything is okay with the pattern, etc., it takes me a long time. I'm fairly slow with that, and I find that a little frustrating that I'm slow. Part of that is a time issue too. I have a finite amount of time, as I'm sure you can all commiserate with. I keep looking at the time just to make sure I don't want the video to go too long, and I do have to get back to my kitchen and my laundry. So the winners of the last giveaway that I had have gotten in contact with me so I can get their prizes. Well, one of them for Pam from Pam's Crafty Corner. Pam and I are hoping to, in case I haven't told you this yet, Pam, let's get together. I think that's a great idea. Let's see if we can get together for a coffee and I can hand deliver your pattern to you. That's much preferable than sticking it in the mail. So that'll be good fun now. Okay. I hum when I'm stitching if I don't have... Normally when I stitch, I am watching FlossTube or knitting podcasts or Netflix or CBC or... It's amazing all the different places now online where we get our entertainment from. I mean, there was a time where, when I was growing up in Outport, Newfoundland, and Outport, Newfoundland means away from, there's only one large city. The province, entire province of Newfoundland and Labrador, has about 500,000 people over thousands and thousands of kilometers of space. So it's a very, very small, very low population, particularly for the amount of space that's here. So where was I going with this story? Completely lost my train of thought. Started telling you about... I don't remember. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll remember in a minute. Anyway, I'm back stitching. Oh, I know I said that I was watching podcasts. Oh, I know what it was. I was saying that when you grew up in I don't know if in your part of the world, but when I was growing up, we were able to get one channel that was CBC. And if you're not Canadian, that stands for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And CBC radio and TV, well, radio first, and then television were really how we got our news and entertainment. And where I was growing up, which was outside St. John's. So if you're inside St. John's, the city area, there's only one city in our province. Although I think there might technically be two. Corner Brook might be considered a city. I can't remember. But anyway, St. John's, there might be two cities, but St. John's is, I don't know the population of St. John's, but it's not very high. And if you live outside that city, we call it Outport. You live in an outport, which is usually a small community that was developed around, you see Angel back there, she's trying to hop up on top of the shelves, that was developed around a cove or a bay or a harbor because it was built, Newfoundland and Labrador were settled because of the fishery, because of the codfish industry. And the best place for people to settle to get fish were along the water. And along the water were called outports. And like I said, we could only get one channel. Now, the closer you got to St. John's, some people got, when later on got cable and things, so they were able to get more television channels. But mainly, for quite a bit of my life, I grew up with one channel. And now, the variety, I don't even watch it. We do have cable, but that's mainly for my husband, so he can watch sports live. But for me, I never turn on the actual television. Well, I do if I put a podcast on the TV, but I don't turn on the TV for entertainment. I go to online services. I don't like commercials, so I get to avoid the commercials that way. Hello, Miss Angel. Now, I've got to move my thread, because as I mentioned, Angel will eat it. Angel caused a ruckus, so I had to take a break for a second. So I hope you're planning on getting some stitching tonight. It's Friday. So it's the Friday off the grid stitch party this evening. Don't know if I'll be participating or not, because we have, we always celebrate, we always have movie night, family movie night on Friday evenings. And the lighting, well, it's a combination of two things. One is if we rent a movie, because we can do that on our iTunes, on Apple TV. If we rent a movie, I usually get so caught up in the movie I can't stitch. I can knit sometimes, but I can't stitch. I find that I have to concentrate a bit more than that. So, get in there. So I don't tend to get a whole lot of stitching done in the evenings. Now, I'm not much longer for chatting. I'm gonna, oops, oh no. Put the thread right down. Okay, let's try that again. Is it always the case that when you're trying to thread a needle, particularly for a video or if anybody's watching you, it's impossible to thread? Murphy's Law. Okay. Back to the stitching. I apologize, you still can't really see the stitching. I guess I'm a bit afraid that it's going to be, let's see, I'm going to put that, there we go. So you can kind of see me stitching. I guess I'm going to have to come up with a better solution to the whole stitching, Stitch With Me video. So let me know if you like this format or not. Because obviously, if you're kind enough to sit down and watch it, I would like it to be in a format that you like. Because I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you, but really I'm doing it for me. Because I love the cross-stitch community, and I love the you know, the chatting back and forth with the comments and questions and things, you know, that kind of, I love feeling that there's a whole bunch of other people out there sitting down with their coffee or tea and stitching with me. Ooh, cat hair angel. I wonder how that happened. Move my thread again before the cat comes over. If she's a-coming. So do you have any major plans this weekend? We don't. We're around here this weekend. I'm hoping to sleep in. That's the extent of my, that is the height of excitement around here. I am hoping to sleep in. Either Saturday or Sunday. My husband and I tend to take turns. One gets to sleep in one day and the other gets to sleep in the other day. And then whoever is not sleeping in tends to get up and either clean or make a big breakfast or that kind of thing. So it works out pretty well. But the kids are of an age now where they can get up and get, you know, they don't need us. They don't need us to make breakfast for them. They can get their own yogurt and their own cereal and their own toast. And really, I encourage them to do that because I want them, they're old enough now to start being a little bit more independent and not expecting mommy and daddy to be serving them. Although they ask, the 7.5-year-old is, Mommy, I want ketchup. And I say, okay, get up and get yourself some ketchup. Mommy, I need a drink. Okay, go get yourself a drink. He likes to push it. He likes to, would much prefer that he's got somebody, sorry, I keep checking on the cat. Much prefer he's got somebody to boss around, I think, that one. But it's probably my fault too for catering to them perhaps a bit too much. So it's the perfect Friday. Beautiful day, stitching, chatting with you, having a visit. Really nice. However, I think I need to get going. I need to get back to my chores And this afternoon is going to be taken up with, like I mentioned, that little ceremony that's going to be at the school for my oldest son. And then there's a book fair that I'm attending at my other, so 2 of my children go to one school and 1 of my kids goes to a separate school, just by virtue of the ages. So one's in a middle school and 2 are in an elementary school. And so the elementary school has their book fair on, and one of the classes for my middle son are going to be there this afternoon. And I like to go in for that because they like to shop for books because they are voracious readers. And I go and I shop for books too. And so I enjoy shopping for books myself because they always have a few. I love the young adult genre, and I love fantasy and science fiction. So, because of that, I like to check out the book fair myself. And then if my middle son wants to pick up a book, I can be there and pay for it instead of giving him money. He's pretty good, actually. But my youngest son, if I just give him money, he doesn't like to read and he won't buy books. He'll come home with more toys than books. So I like to be there to kind of guide them in their shopping. Just to make sure they're coming home with things that I'm not going to be more toys than books, because frankly we have enough toys in this house. We have enough books too, but books I feel a bit differently about books. I think I want our boys to have a very special relationship with books, and book fair is always an exciting time. So I'm getting there. On this, I'm just going to finish off. I'm going to show you. So I'm working on the let me put this behind. I'm working on the outline around this. You can see now that this part of the honey stick and up to here. So I haven't completed this part of here. You can really see what a difference the back stitch makes. It's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me for this time. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I look forward to chatting with you again on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.